Title, Buried on Purpose, The Truth They're Trying to Erase, Section 8 Fraud Exposed. Man, let me just get real for a second. I need you to really hear what I'm about to say, because what's happening to me right now is bigger than just one person's story. This is about a pattern of suppression, intimidation, and digital erasure that's happening in real time, and I have the receipts to prove it. I'm convinced, no, scratch that, I know my YouTube channel is being buried on purpose. And before you think this is just another creator complaining about the algorithm, let me lay out the facts. Cold, hard, undeniable facts. 4 months. That's all it's been since I started this journey. In just 4 months, I've created and uploaded over 400 videos, every single one of them carefully SEO optimized with proper titles, descriptions, tags, thumbnails, and closed captions. I'm not some amateur throwing content at the wall. I understand digital marketing. I understand content strategy. I've done everything by the book. But that's just the beginning. In that same 4-month period, I've produced 13 full music albums and 135 original songs, all professionally mixed, mastered, and distributed. They're streaming right now on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Tidal, Deezer, and every other major platform worldwide. You can find them. They're there. They're real. I even wrote and published a complete book, available globally through Amazon KDP and Ingram Spark. It's in bookstores. It's in libraries. It's in the Library of Congress catalog. Physical copies exist in the world right now that people can hold in their hands. This isn't the output of someone lazy. This isn't the work of someone unstable. This is the productivity of someone who has something urgent to say and is using every platform available to say it. And yet, when you search my name, John Allen Legette, it's like I don't exist. Out of hundreds of pieces of content spread across multiple platforms, maybe 1 or 2 show up in search results. If you dig deep enough, scroll far enough, and know exactly what you're looking for. The rest, gone, buried, scrubbed from the digital landscape like I never created them at all. Section 1, Suppression by Design. That's not an accident. That's not how the algorithm works. That's not bad luck or poor timing or needing to be patient with growth. That's suppression by design. Let me break down what I mean by that, because I want you to understand the mechanics of what's happening here. The pattern of algorithmic burial. When you upload content to YouTube, there's a natural discovery period. New videos get shown to a small percentage of your subscribers and similar audiences. If they engage, watch time, likes, comments, shares, the algorithm expands your reach. That's the basic model everyone understands. But here's what's happening to my content. I'll upload a video and within the first hour I'll see a spike. Maybe 50 views, maybe 100. Normal early traction. But then, and this is where it gets suspicious, the views just stop. Not slow down, not taper off gradually. They hit a wall and flatline completely. Meanwhile, the video is still being recommended in my own feed when I check from different accounts. It's still technically live. But the view count, frozen. The engagement, non-existent. It's like the video exists in a shadow realm where it's visible but untouchable. And here's the kicker. The most meaningful videos, the ones that expose corruption, that speak truth, that help people break free from mental and spiritual bondage, those are the ones that mysteriously stop getting views the fastest. The music videos, they get some traction. The worship songs, they do okay. But the moment I post something about Section 8 fraud, about corrupt landlords, about systemic exploitation of the poor, about the spiritual warfare behind all of this, that's when the suppression kicks into overdrive. The subscriber anomaly. I said out loud one day, half joking but also deadly serious, maybe my channel's ghost banned. And the moment I said it, something clicked. I started looking at my subscriber list differently, analyzing the engagement patterns, checking the accounts that were supposedly following me. And suddenly it felt like half my subscribers weren't real supporters. They were plants. Accounts created specifically to sabotage my channel from the inside. Think about it. What better way to kill a channel's reach than to flood it with fake subscribers who never watch, never engage, never share? It tanks your engagement rate, which tells the algorithm your content isn't valuable, which buries you even deeper. It's like their only job is to tank my reach by lowering engagement metrics, report my content for bogus violations, share my videos with troll networks to flood the comments with negativity, distort the narrative by taking my words out of context. This isn't paranoia. This is pattern recognition. This is what targeted suppression looks like in the digital age. The comparison that doesn't add up. Meanwhile, and this is what really exposes the game, channels with barely any content, no optimization, and nothing meaningful to say are blowing up with subscribers and engagement. I'm talking about channels with 10 videos total, getting 100K subscribers. No descriptions, no tags, no SEO strategy whatsoever. Content that's literally just reposts or low-effort compilations. Zero original thought or meaningful contribution. But they're being pushed, they're being promoted, they're showing up in recommended feeds and search results. Make it make sense. The only explanation that fits the evidence is that there's a deliberate effort to suppress voices that speak uncomfortable truths while amplifying voices that keep people distracted, divided, and docile. Section 2. Hijacking MY name and ministry. Visual, side-by-side comparisons of search results, screenshots of fake pages, metadata analysis. But it gets worse, so much worse, because the suppression isn't just passive burial, it's active hijacking. The metadata manipulation. People are now slapping my titles and my ministry's name, John Allen Legette Ministries, into tags on random videos that have absolutely nothing to do with me. Videos about completely unrelated topics. Videos from channels I've never heard of. Videos that sometimes directly contradict what I teach. Why would anyone do that? Let me explain the strategy, because it's actually quite sophisticated. Tag pollution is a technique used to confuse search algorithms and dilute brand identity. When multiple unrelated videos use the same tags, the algorithm can't determine which content is actually relevant to those search terms. So instead of showing the authentic source, my actual ministry content, it shows a mixed bag of results, or worse, it shows nothing at all because it can't determine relevance with confidence. It's like if someone wanted to bury information about a specific restaurant, they could create dozens of fake listings with the same name in different cities, with different addresses, different phone numbers. Pretty soon, when someone searches for the real restaurant, they get so many conflicting results that they give up trying to find it. That's what's happening to my digital presence. They're creating noise to drown out the signal. The Google search erasure. And it's not just YouTube. The suppression extends across the entire Google ecosystem, which is particularly telling because Google owns YouTube. The coordination suggests this isn't random algorithm behavior. This is targeted action. I've documented it meticulously. I've gone through 22 pages of Google search results for John Allen Legette and John Allen Legette Ministries. I've taken screenshots. I've recorded videos of the searches. I've used different devices, different browsers, different IP addresses to rule out personalization. And the results are consistent. Almost nothing about me shows up. Think about that. I have 400 plus YouTube videos, 13 music albums on major streaming platforms, a published book in global distribution, active social media presence, original content across multiple platforms. And yet, when you search my name, it's like I'm a ghost. The digital footprint of 4 months of intensive content creation has been virtually erased from the world's most powerful search engine. The impersonation campaign. Instead of my legitimate content, Here's what Google is pushing to the top of search results. A fake ministry page run by someone completely unrelated to me. A white man named John Legette, note the different spelling, who has nothing to do with my ministry, my message, or my mission. This isn't coincidence. This is identity dilution, a classic disinformation tactic used by intelligence agencies and sophisticated bad actors too. Confuse the audience. When people search for me, they find someone else, assume it's the same person, and get confused when the content doesn't match. Dilute the brand. By associating my name with unrelated content, they weaken the distinctiveness of my message. Redirect traffic. People looking for my truth-telling content get sent to sanitized, controlled opposition instead. Create plausible deniability. We're not suppressing you. Look, there's content with your name right here, even though it's not actually me. This is the kind of tactic used against political dissidents, whistleblowers, and anyone who threatens powerful interests. The fact that it's being deployed against me tells you everything you need to know about how dangerous they consider my message to be. Section 3. The real reason they're doing this. Visual transition to more serious tone. Documents evidence shown on screen. So let's address the elephant in the room. Why? Why all this effort? Why go to these extraordinary lengths to erase me from search engines, bury my channel, hijack my metadata, and impersonate my ministry? What did I do that was so threatening that it warranted this level of coordinated suppression? The Section 8 fraud exposure. Because I spoke up. Because I exposed the Section 8 voucher fraud that Peter and Jacqueline Taylor Halston are behind. Because I refused to be their silent hostage while they milk the system and rob the poor. Let me give you the context, because this is where everything connects. Section 8 is a federal housing assistance program designed to help low-income families afford safe, decent housing. The government pays a portion of the rent directly to landlords on behalf of qualified tenants. It's supposed to be a safety net for the most vulnerable members of our society. But like many well-intentioned programs, it's become a target for fraud. And Peter and Jacqueline Halston have turned it into a personal ATM machine. Here's how the scam works. Overcharge for substandard housing. They rent out properties that barely meet or don't meet habitability standards, but they charge premium rates because they know the government is paying. Neglect maintenance. Since tenants can't easily leave, finding Section 8 housing is extremely difficult. They let properties deteriorate while continuing to collect full rent. Intimidate tenants into silence. Anyone who complains gets threatened with eviction, which for a Section 8 tenant often means homelessness. Use connections to avoid accountability. Through their network of influence in local government and business, they ensure inspections are superficial and complaints go nowhere. I witnessed this firsthand. I experienced it personally, and when I started documenting it and speaking about it publicly, that's when the real trouble began. The physical attack, September 23, 2025. On September 23, 2025, they sent a message, a clear, unmistakable message that I was not supposed to ignore. I was physically attacked in what I firmly believe was retaliation for speaking the truth about their fraud operation. Let me walk you through exactly what happened because the details matter. This wasn't a random street crime. This was orchestrated, calculated, and designed to send a message. The setup. It started when I walked into Family Dollar, a store I'd been to dozens of times before without incident. But this time was different. The moment I walked in, I could feel it. The energy was wrong. Store employees immediately tried to provoke me, not subtle glances or mild rudeness, active provocation. Comments loud enough for me to hear, positioning themselves to block my path, creating an atmosphere of hostility. Then a man walked in. He pretended to shop, casually browsing the aisles, but I noticed he wasn't actually looking at products. He was watching me, waiting. The confrontation. The tension escalated. The man started moving closer, positioning himself for confrontation. The store managers, who had been part of creating the hostile environment, suddenly seemed to realize things were about to get physical inside their store. They didn't want that liability, so they intervened just enough to prevent the fight from happening inside the store. But here's the thing, they didn't actually stop what was about to happen. They just moved it outside. The man followed me when I left. Not immediately. He waited just long enough to create distance from the store, but he followed. The assault. 3 blocks away from the store, he made his move. He jumped me from behind. 3 punches to my head and face. 2 kicks to my head while I was on the ground. And here's the part that really shows the premeditation. He filmed the entire assault. He stood over me while I was on the ground, phone out, recording his handiwork. This wasn't about robbery, nothing was taken. This wasn't about a personal dispute, we'd never met before. This was about creating documentation of my humiliation and sending a message. The symbolism. And the symbolism wasn't subtle. He wore a lion head shirt, a direct, mocking shot at my faith. I serve Yahuah, the Lion of Judah. Anyone who knows anything about my ministry knows that. The choice of that shirt wasn't random. It was a message. We know who you serve and we're not afraid of him. The police absence. Here's the detail that confirms this was orchestrated. A police officer was in that Family Dollar store before everything went down. I saw him. Other customers saw him. He was there. But just before the attack, he vanished. Convenient, right? No report was filed. No investigation was opened. No security footage was reviewed. It's like it never happened officially. But I have the injuries. I have the witnesses. I have the timeline. And I have the pattern of what happened before and after. Section 4. Everyone's in on the scam. Visual, network diagram showing connections, documents, testimonies. This isn't just 2 landlords pulling strings in isolation. This is a web, a network of complicity that extends far beyond what most people would believe possible. The network of complicity. Let me map out who's involved and how they're connected. Clerks and retail workers, creating hostile environments, provoking confrontations, serving as witnesses to false narratives. Delivery drivers, reporting false information about residents, creating documentation of suspicious behavior. Bank employees, flagging accounts, creating barriers to financial transactions, reporting unusual activity. Utility companies, sudden billing errors, service disruptions, creating additional financial pressure. Uber and Lyft drivers, refusing service, reporting false complaints, creating transportation barriers. Rental agencies, blacklisting across the industry, sharing false information, coordinating to deny housing. Local businesses, refusing service, creating hostile environments, participating in community ostracism. And here's the thing that makes this so insidious. Most of them probably don't even realize how deep they're in. They think they're just doing someone a favor. They think they're helping deal with a problem tenant or a troublemaker. The disinformation campaign. They've been fed lies and half-truths to paint me as the villain. He's unstable based on nothing, but the fact that I speak passionately about injustice. He's lazy despite producing 400+ videos, 13 albums, 135 songs, and a book in 4 months. He's an addict, a complete fabrication with 0 evidence. He's dangerous because I document fraud and speak truth to power. He's a deadbeat while I'm actively working and creating constantly. None of it is true, but it doesn't have to be true to be effective. It just has to be repeated enough times by enough people in positions of perceived authority. This is how character assassination works in the modern age. You don't need proof. You just need a coordinated whisper campaign. The purpose of the network. The goal of this network isn't just to make my life difficult. It's to isolate me socially, make it impossible to build community or find allies, destabilize me financially, create constant financial pressure and barriers, discredit me publicly, ensure that if I speak out, no one believes me, exhaust me mentally, force me to fight battles on multiple fronts simultaneously, silence me permanently, make the cost of speaking truth higher than I can bear. It's a comprehensive strategy of suppression that targets every aspect of life, and it's being executed with precision and coordination that suggests serious resources and planning behind it. Section 5. The Utah Accident and Legal Manipulation. Visual documents timeline, evidence of the incident. But the physical attack in September 2025 wasn't the first time they tried to harm me. Let me take you back to what happened in Utah, because it's part of the same pattern. The Utah incident. Last year, my wife and I were involved in what was officially called a car accident in Utah. But I'm telling you right now, that was not an accident. That was an orchestrated attempt to harm me and my wife. The circumstances were too convenient. The timing was too perfect. The aftermath was too coordinated. When you look at the full picture, the conclusion is inescapable. I won't go into all the details publicly because there are still legal matters pending, but I will say this. The evidence suggests premeditation, coordination, and intent to cause serious harm. And what happened after the incident? That's where it gets really interesting. The legal manipulation. Now they're parading around cherry-picked lawsuit documents to make themselves look righteous. They're taking fragments of legal filings, removing context, and using them to paint a narrative where they're the victims and I'm the aggressor. This is a classic tactic. Use the legal system as a weapon. Here's how it works. Provoke a response. Create situations designed to make the target react. Document the reaction. Ignore the provocation, focus only on the response. File legal action. Use the documented reaction as evidence of instability or aggression. Control the narrative. Release selective documents that support your version of events. Weaponize the process. Use the legal proceedings themselves as punishment, regardless of outcome. The goal isn't necessarily to win in court. The goal is to drain financial resources through legal fees. Create a public record of accusations, even if unfounded. Force the target to spend time and energy on defense instead of offense. Generate documentation that can be used for character assassination. And it's working to a degree. When you Google my name, on the rare occasion something actually shows up, you might find references to legal disputes, but you won't find the full context. You won't find the evidence of fraud that prompted my whistleblowing. You won't find the pattern of retaliation. You'll just find carefully curated fragments designed to make me look like the problem. The bigger picture. But here's what they don't want you to see. These are not good people doing good work. These are well-connected criminals hiding behind secret societies, city power, and polished PR. They have connections in local government that protect them from accountability, relationships with law enforcement that ensure complaints go nowhere, networks in the business community that enable economic retaliation, access to legal resources that allow them to weaponize the court system, membership in organizations that provide cover and coordination. This isn't small-time fraud. This is organized, systematic exploitation of vulnerable people, protected by layers of institutional complicity. Section 6. The truth they're afraid of. Visual, return to direct address, passionate but controlled delivery. So let's talk about what they're really afraid of. Because all of this, the digital suppression, the physical attacks, the legal manipulation, the coordinated harassment. It all comes down to one thing: the truth. Why truth is dangerous to them. They're terrified because they know that if enough people see the evidence, if enough people hear what really happened, their whole house of cards collapses. Think about what they've built: a fraud operation that generates significant income, a network of complicity that protects them from accountability, a reputation in the community as upstanding citizens, legal and financial leverage over vulnerable people, the ability to operate with impunity. All of that depends on one thing: silence. As long as their victims stay silent, the system works. As long as witnesses are intimidated into looking the other way, the fraud continues. As long as the truth stays buried, they keep profiting. But I'm not silent, and that's the problem. What the evidence shows. The evidence I've been documenting and sharing shows. Systematic Section 8 fraud, overcharging for substandard housing, neglecting maintenance, intimidating tenants, coordinated retaliation, physical attacks, legal harassment, economic sabotage against anyone who speaks out, institutional complicity, law enforcement, local government and business community looking the other way, digital suppression, coordinated efforts to erase my online presence and silence my message. Pattern of behavior. This isn't isolated. It's a consistent pattern spanning years and multiple victims. This isn't speculation. This isn't conspiracy theory. This is documented, verifiable reality. The ripple effect they fear. But here's what really terrifies them. I'm not the only one they've done this to. For every person who speaks out, there are dozens who stay silent out of fear. For every documented case of fraud, there are countless others that never get reported. For every victim who fights back, there are many more who just try to survive and move on. If my story gets enough attention, if enough people start asking questions, if the pattern becomes undeniable, then all those other victims might find their voice. All those other cases might come to light. All that carefully constructed protection might crumble. That's why they're working so hard to bury me. Because I'm not just a threat to their current operation. I'm a threat to their entire system of exploitation. Why my videos get buried. Now you understand why. My videos get buried in search results. My channel gets shadow banned. My name gets scrubbed from Google. Impersonators show up when you search my ministry. I'm constantly targeted with harassment and attacks. It's not because I'm doing something wrong. It's because I'm doing something right. I'm exposing something they desperately need to keep hidden. Section 7. A warning to THOSC involved. Visual, serious, direct address with legal ethical framing. Now I want to speak directly to the people who have been roped into this scheme, whether you know it or not. This is important, so please listen carefully. To the complicit parties. If you're a company or an individual who has been asked to participate in suppressing my content, harassing me, spreading false information about me, or otherwise contributing to this coordinated campaign, you need to think twice about what you're doing. You might think you're just doing a favor for a friend, following orders from a supervisor, participating in legitimate business practices, helping deal with a problem person. But here's what you need to understand. When this house of cards falls, and it will fall, federal investigations will follow. The legal jeopardy. Section 8 fraud is a federal crime. It involves theft of federal funds, wire fraud when electronic communications are involved, conspiracy when multiple people coordinate, retaliation against whistleblowers, a separate federal crime. If you're participating in any aspect of this operation, you could be named in federal indictments, held liable for damages in civil suits, charged with conspiracy or accessory crimes, subject to professional sanctions or license revocation, facing prison time, depending on your level of involvement. And here's the thing about federal investigations. They don't just go after the ringleaders. They build cases by flipping lower-level participants who cooperate in exchange for reduced charges. If you think you're just doing someone a favor, you might be putting yourself in serious legal jeopardy without even knowing it. The moral dimension. But beyond the legal risk, there's a moral dimension here that I want you to consider. You're participating in the oppression of someone who is telling the truth about fraud, trying to protect vulnerable people, using their voice and talent to expose injustice, standing up to powerful people who are exploiting the poor. Is that really the side of history you want to be on? When this story eventually comes out, and it will, do you want to be remembered as someone who helped silence a truth-teller, someone who participated in the harassment of a whistleblower, someone who chose convenience over conscience? The offer of redemption. But here's the thing, it's not too late to make a different choice. If you've been involved in this campaign and you're having second thoughts, you can. Stop participating immediately. Document what you've been asked to do. Come forward with information. Cooperate with investigations. Make amends for your involvement. The people at the top of this operation will throw you under the bus the moment it's convenient for them. They'll claim they never asked you to do anything wrong. They'll say you acted on your own. They'll distance themselves and leave you holding the bag. But if you come forward now, while you still can, you have the opportunity to be part of the solution instead of part of the problem. Section 8. This isn't about revenge. Visual, shift to more reflective, principled tone. I want to be very clear about something, because I know how this kind of story can be misinterpreted or mischaracterized. The true motivation. This isn't about revenge. This isn't about personal vendetta. This isn't about getting back at people who wronged me. This is about truth. This is about justice. This is about accountability. This is about exposing a system built on lies and intimidation, protecting future victims from the same exploitation, standing up to people who think they can rob the poor and never face consequences, using my voice and platform to shine light on darkness, fulfilling my calling to speak truth regardless of personal cost. If this was about revenge, I would be focused on causing harm to the people who harmed me. But that's not what I'm doing. I'm focused on documenting evidence, sharing truth, building awareness, seeking legitimate legal accountability, protecting others from similar harm. The bigger picture. This story is bigger than me. It's bigger than Peter and Jacqueline Halston. It's bigger than one Section 8 fraud operation in one city. This is about systemic exploitation of the vulnerable, how the poor are preyed upon by those who are supposed to serve them. Institutional complicity, how systems that should protect people instead protect predators. The cost of speaking truth, what happens to whistleblowers in America today. Digital suppression, how powerful interests can erase voices they don't like. The power of persistence, how one person refusing to be silenced can expose an entire network. Every person watching this video who has ever felt powerless against a corrupt system, who has ever been told to just accept injustice, who has ever wondered if speaking up is worth the cost, this story is for you. The spiritual dimension. And I have to address the spiritual dimension of this, because it's central to everything I do. I serve Yahuah, the Most High. I believe I've been called to this work. I believe there's a spiritual battle happening behind the physical circumstances. I believe that the forces of darkness hate truth-tellers because we expose their works. That lion head shirt the attacker wore, that wasn't random. That was spiritual mockery. They know who I serve, and they're trying to intimidate me by mocking my faith. But here's what they don't understand. My faith is exactly what makes me unbreakable, because I'm not doing this in my own strength. I'm not relying on my own resources. I'm not fighting this battle alone. The Lion of Judah is greater than any lion head shirt. The truth of Yahuah is more powerful than any lie they can tell. The light always overcomes darkness, no matter how long the darkness seems to prevail. Section 9. Final word: I'm not going anywhere. Visual: return to opening energy, defiant but not angry, determined and unshakable. So let me make this absolutely clear to everyone watching, and especially to those who are trying to silence me. The declaration: they want me to disappear, they want me silent, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm still going to make music. Every album, every song, every beat is an act of defiance against those who want me erased. I'm still going to write. Every book, every article, every word is a testament that truth cannot be buried forever. I'm still going to preach. Every sermon, every teaching, every message is a declaration that the word of Yahuah will not be silenced. I'm still going to speak the truth. Every video, every post, every statement is a refusal to bow to intimidation. The reason why? Because this isn't just about me. It's about every person they've ever exploited and every voice they've ever tried to silence. It's about the single mother living in substandard housing who's afraid to complain because she might lose her Section 8 voucher. The elderly person being overcharged for a barely habitable apartment who doesn't know where else to go. The disabled veteran being taken advantage of by a landlord who knows they're vulnerable. The family struggling to survive, who's being systematically robbed by people who are supposed to be helping them. Every time I speak, I'm speaking for them. Every time I create content, I'm creating a record that can't be erased. Every time I refuse to be silenced, I'm refusing on behalf of everyone who doesn't have the platform or the courage or the resources to refuse for themselves. The commitment. And if my channel disappears tomorrow, if every search result is scrubbed, if they throw every tactic they've got at me, if they succeed in erasing every trace of my digital presence, I'll build it again. Because the truth doesn't die just because someone tries to bury it. The truth always rises. You can suppress it for a season. You can hide it for a time. You can make it harder to find, but you cannot kill it. Truth has a way of breaking through every barrier, overcoming every obstacle, outlasting every attempt at suppression. And I'm committed to being a voice for that truth, no matter what it costs me personally. The long game. They're playing a short game. They're thinking about protecting their current operation, maintaining their current reputation, avoiding immediate consequences, silencing the current threat. But I'm playing a long game. I'm thinking about creating a permanent record that can't be erased, building a body of evidence that will stand the test of time, establishing a pattern that future investigators can follow, planting seeds of truth that will bear fruit in seasons I may never see. They're trying to win today. I'm trying to ensure that truth prevails eventually, even if it takes years. Section 10, Closing Call to Action. So if you're watching this, I need you to understand that you're not just a passive observer. You have a role to play in this story. What you can do: don't just scroll past. Don't just watch and forget. Don't just feel bad for a moment and move on with your day. Here's what I'm asking you to do. Share this video, post it on your social media, send it to people who need to hear it. Make it harder for them to bury by spreading it far and wide. Bookmark it, save it to your playlists, download it if you can, create backups, because if they succeed in taking it down, you'll have a copy. Mirror it if you have a platform, re-upload this content. Create redundancy. Make it impossible to erase by ensuring it exists in multiple places. Let people know what's happening, talk about this story, write about it, create your own content discussing it, Amplify the message in your own voice. Document and share. If you have your own experiences with Section 8 fraud, landlord exploitation, or digital suppression, share your story. You're not alone and your voice matters. Support truth tellers. Whether it's me or someone else speaking uncomfortable truths, show up for them. Engage with their content. Defend them when they're attacked. Make it clear that silencing truth tellers has a cost. The power of collective action. Because here's the thing, the more eyes on this, the harder it becomes for them to hide. They can suppress one person, they can bury one channel, they can erase one voice. But they can't suppress thousands of people sharing the same message. They can't bury hundreds of channels talking about the same issue. They can't erase a movement of people committed to truth. That's the power you have. That's the role you can play. That's how we win this fight, not through any one person's heroic effort, but through collective commitment to truth and justice. The direct message. And to Peter and Jacqueline Halston, I know you're watching this, or someone will tell you about it. So let me speak directly to you. Know this, you will be held accountable. Not by me personally, not through revenge or retaliation, but through the natural consequences of your actions, through the legal system when it finally catches up, through the court of public opinion when the full truth comes out, through the judgment of history when this story is told completely. The light is coming for every dark thing done in secret. You cannot silence what Yahuah has ordained to speak. You cannot bury what he has called to be revealed. You cannot stop what he has set in motion. You've spent so much energy trying to erase me, suppress me, intimidate me, harm me. But every action you take against me just adds to the evidence. Every attempt to silence me just makes the story more compelling. Every attack just proves the truth of what I'm saying. You would have been better off leaving me alone. Because now, instead of being a voice crying in the wilderness, I'm becoming a symbol of resistance against the exact kind of exploitation you represent. The final word. To everyone watching, thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for caring about truth and justice. This fight isn't over. In many ways, it's just beginning. But I'm not afraid because I know I'm on the right side of history. I know I'm speaking truth. I know I'm standing for something that matters. And I know I'm not alone because you're here watching this and you're part of this story now too. The truth will prevail. Justice will come. Light will overcome darkness. And I'm not going anywhere. Share this video. Document your own experiences. Support truth tellers. The truth will prevail. John Allen Legette Ministries. Subscribe, share, stand for truth.